Next, sir is going to explain about the fertilizers that are using in the planted aquarium. So this is with us, it is nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus. So can you please explain it?
Yeah, these are called macro fertilizers, okay? NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium.
Okay.
This is from a brand called Seachem.
Seachem.
So this is a method of adding liquid fertilizers to the tank. To
Because of the aquatic, because it's a...
yeah, because the plants need this, you know.
Okay.
Without this, they cannot metabolize, they cannot grow properly. You will not see that vigorous growth.
Okay.
You will see some deficiencies, you know, and the leaves will start turning brown, you know, and they will shed the leaves. So those deficiency symptoms will develop and they will not perform.
Okay.
So this is a very crucial element, NPK.
Okay.
But especially potassium, you have to dose from the day one you have set up the tank, okay? Because this is a nutrient which will run out very quickly.
Okay.
So it won't be available for them easily. So you have to dose. And also nitrogen and phosphorus. Once a tank is set up, after a few weeks after the setup, slowly you can start dosing.
So can you please tell the ratio for this, anything like that?
See, this is a method called lean dosing. You usually dose apart from what is prescribed, a slightly lesser percentage than what is prescribed in the bottle, okay, to be on the safer side. Okay. If you try to add more, or you know, if you dose exactly at the same level what is prescribed, sometimes you'll have algae issues. But in order to avoid those kind of problems, when you start dosing in a new tank, you start at a slightly lesser percentage. And suppose you say like 2 ml every day, you just dose 1 ml or 1.5 ml. And slowly you see the performance of the plants. And then according to that, you have to see how plants perform. And based on that, you have to centrate the dosing regime. There is no thumb rule. There is no hard and fast rule. Whatever will work for you will not work for me. You have to really...
According to your tank, you want
you have to really observe your tank and the performance of the plants very closely. And then based on that, you decide.
First is macronutrients. Second is micronutrients. There are 13 micronutrients according to...
So many are there.
So can you explain about it?
See, this is actually flourish trace. All the trace elements, which are very, very crucial for plants to grow in a very healthy way. If you don't have them, they will suffer very badly because they cannot produce these nutrients. You have to dose. Nitrogen and phosphorus, for example, although they are macro, they are available from food decomposition and also the waste produced by the fishes. But those are all organic sources. Organic source will be difficult for plants to absorb. That is why we are dosing separately.
They will absorb. That's the point.
They will absorb, but it is still, they have to spend extra energy. That is why we are dosing the inorganic source. But in this case, you cannot leave this alone. You have to dose based on what is recommended. You can start the same way. You can start at a very lesser percentage and slowly you can increase. But this is very crucial. And this is called Flourish Advance. This is another interesting fertilizer because it has got growth hormones.
GH hormones.
So it will help in the vigorous growth of the plants. And it will keep them very healthy. Iron. Iron is a must. In an aquatic ecosystem. Iron is a limiting nutrient. That means it is very low quantity. The availability is. So you have to dose
in nature,
and even in nature. So you have to in nature. See, there are so many sources where iron can come in, but in a planted tank,
it's not possible.
It's not possible. You have to dose. So especially when you want to go red plants, you have to dose. Not only red plants, even other plants as well. Otherwise, you will have serious deficiency problem.
Plants will show some kind of symptoms or some kind of deficiencies. For example, yellowish of the leaf and holes in the leaf. Then so when plants started showing this kind of signs, we need to change our fertilizers in that way for matching with that.
You have to understand what kind of deficiency is that. Either it is potassium or phosphorus. Sometimes the symptoms are overlapping also. So if you keep your dosing regime, the quantity of fertilizers that you add in the right way, based on the performance of your plants, you will not have this problem. Many people, what they do is they dose this macros once in a week, and they dose the trace once in a week. This won't be enough for them. you have to dose them in alternate days.
Then next one of the important point, I think, depending upon the volume of the water, we need to dose it.
Because the dosage is based on the volume of water. So accordingly you dose. Okay. Always, that's what I mean. You just start in a slightly lower percentage than what is recommended. Then slowly you can build up the dosing. Okay, and reach the dose what is recommended.
Okay.
These are dragon rocks basically, and they are, I believe they are from China. And they have a very interesting character. There's a lot of depressions, holes, and although they look very hard, but they are not very hard. Actually, they are very soft. It's easy to break them. It's easy to break them actually. It's easy to break. Some rocks are even difficult to break with a hammer, but in the case of this rock, it's not like that. And also, you can just break them and attach them easily.
Glue it
easily. Attach
different shapes.
Like you attach using super glue and rock wool. Okay. And the gluing is very easy.
The entire structure I created with the
I created the entire structure. Like that's what I said. Like took almost 3 months for me to create this, build the structure itself, and it required a lot of gluing with the rock wool, and I have to spend
time taking.
It's very labor intensive because every day I used to sit like late night around like 1 or 2 hours to do this, because a couple of times it will fail.
Okay.
And you have to repeatedly try it again. Sometimes if you don't glue properly, it will fail. So you have to see to that is glued properly, and and it is strong and stable. The structure has to be stable, otherwise you can't place it inside the tank. And also you have to add the fine details at the end of the day. See, these fine details are
these roots.
Everything has to be glued.
Okay. So, but that is not actual roots, right?
Those are basically the roots of the driftwood.
Driftwood. Okay. Sir, can you please explain about the dosage and dosing levels?
Yeah. See, there are two type of fertilizers. One is macro and one is micro. Okay.
NPK is the
NPK is macro, and micro are the trace elements. Okay. And you have iron as well. Okay. So whenever you set up a planet tank, you have a soil, aqua soil, which is already rich in nutrients. So at least for first 5 to 6 weeks, this one, 5 to 6 weeks, you don't have to dose.
Okay.
It should be enough for them to get all the nutrients from that. But it is advisable to start potassium even from day one, because potassium will always run out very quickly. And it is very difficult for them to synthesize potassium. So they will always be craving for potassium. So if there is no potassium, then the problems will come very soon. Okay, then they'll start getting holes in the leaves, and leaves will start getting damaged. It'll start shedding the leaves, and all those issues will come. So when you set up a planet tank, especially beginners, they are all stressed with these chemicals. They have to use so many type of fertilizers,
and most of them are confused.
Because there is a little bit of chemistry involved in this, and people are afraid to understand the process. It's very, very simple.
I think biochemistry.
Biochemistry, it's very, very simple. The thing is like, there are many fertilizers available in the market, which are in the form of a cocktail. Okay, you'll have macro, micro mixed together, all in small proportion. In my personal opinion, it's better to go for individual elements. For example, the one which I showed you has got nitrogen separately, potassium separately, and phosphorus separately. If you go for those type of fertilizers, it's easy to balance. Otherwise, you don't know how much you are adding into this tank.
How much they are giving us, right?
Although the composition is there, it's very difficult to attain the balance. So if you have individual components, if there is a problem with one particular component, it's easy to correct it. Okay. So it's better to go for this type of fertilizers rather than cocktail type. I'm not saying cocktail fertilizers are bad. It's not an opinion.
Just for understanding, I just want cocktail fertilizers means, so this is, for example, so I just explain about the cocktail means, this is nitrogen separately and this is potassium separately. So cocktail means this nitrogen, potassium, and this one, right? Phosphorus.
Yeah, there is something called flourish, which is a cocktail basically.
Yeah. So this three, some companies will mix it together and will give us. So we cannot understand the ratio that they are giving us.
No, although the ratio is all mentioned, but I'm not saying that they are bad. They're also good, but it is advisable to go for individual components like potassium, nitrogen, phosphorus separately. Otherwise it will be very difficult to achieve the balance. Whenever you want to get some results like this, so it's better to have this type of individual components. If you follow this kind of dosing regime, then it's fine. And also macros, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, you dose one day. The following day you dose the trace elements and iron. Along with this growth hormone. Okay. Or sometimes some people dose only once in a week growth hormone. That is also fine. But that's what I'm saying. You have to see the performance of the plants. And also, in order to see everything is in a balance, there are two important parameters which you need to understand from the water chemistry. That is GH and KH. Okay. If there is any problem there, you will constantly have issues. GH and KH are nothing but the salts in the water. And there is another component called TDS, total. So I'm total dissolved salt. I'm getting a bit technical here. So the viewers don't have to be really stressed. It's very simple actually. These are nothing but salts.
GH, KH, and TDS. TDS is total dissolved salt. Can you please explain about
total dissolved solids, which includes everything, all solid substances in the water dissolved in the dissolved state. But the GH and KH is general hardness, and the KH is carbonate hardness. Okay. So there is a range for these two parameters. For example, KH should be between 3 to 5 degree, and GH should be between 6 to 8 degree. If there are test kits available, okay, easy test kits available. You can buy that and test the water.
Like test kits in a sense, like a litmus paper, we can test it.
Yeah, like a litmus test. There's a small bottle with the solution. You just take this water sample and then add a few drops, and it will show change in color. Based on that, you can find out understand what is the value. And if these parameters are taken care, okay, especially TDS and GH and KH, you can avoid majority of the problems in terms of plant growth and along with the proper fertilization. So that's what I'm saying is it's a very delicate balance because it's an ecosystem. Changes are very subtle. You cannot really see what's happening, where the change is happening. So you have to observe very closely. So if you are a bit lazy in dosing, then you will see problems. And also your maintenance. And every week water exchange is a must. When you set up a tank newly, especially if you're going for a contest tank and all, this tank, I was doing water exchange for almost 6 to 7 weeks on a daily basis, 20 to 30%. Some aquascapers, they do almost every day. Even though if it's for 6 months or 7 months, they do it at least 10% every day.
But every day means the fertilizers that we are adding also get washed with that, right?
No, that's a very, very small fraction. That you don't have to worry about it. But you're constantly replenishing, right? So you're dosing regularly. So it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. So especially I'm talking about GH and KH, and also the TDS. If you're using RO water for planet tank, RO water is the advisable one. But RO
water means reverse osmosis water.
RO water will have low salts. So the GH value and KH value will be low. So you have to remineralize the water. So for that there are chemicals available. It's like GH plus, KH plus. That is why first you have to test the water. Before you add, you have to test what is the value of GH and KH for the RO water that you're using. Based on that, you can remineralize.
So everything we are making, adding separately for making ideal situation, creating the ideal situation.
Yes, you are trying to create the balance. So that's what everybody ignores, this GH and KH because they think it's very complex. They don't try to they think it cannot be understood very easily. These are nothing but salts. If there is no salt, there is no balance.
I heard about this GH and KH in the shrimps. Mostly. So some shrimps will grow in this particular GH and
higher GH and KH. It's like that only. Because even for us, we need salts. For survival. Same with the plants. RO water will remove everything. So in some cases, you can go for when you set up an RO unit, you can ask for a high TDS membrane. So the TDS value in a planet tank, it should be in the range of like around over 120 to maximum up to 190. It should not drop below like even 90 is also fine in some cases, but if it goes below 50 and all, it's very difficult. Literally everything will melt. All the plants will melt. They can't take it. They will struggle to grow.
Sir, you are growing this plant so intensively. So can you please explain how you are managing it?
Yeah, see, especially in this setup, these plants, they require trimming for every second week. They grow very vigorously.
2 weeks
once in 2 weeks, you have to trim.
Okay.
So we use some specialized tools for this.
Okay.
Curved scissors.
Wow.
And these are the straight
ones.
And these are the tweezers, long tweezers for planting. These are this is a scissors basically.
Scissors, right?
Yeah, this is for trimming at a small branch. If you want to trim at a particular point, you can trim using this.
Okay. Still, so many.
See, all aquascapers need to have these tools. Without this, it's difficult to do the maintenance.
This is just for planting type. When you want to like this, we will take these small plants and we will individually put inside the soil.
And this is for removing any dead leaves and stuff.
Okay.
So
see the
some
shape
tricky corners you can use.
use.
These processes are very ideal, very useful. In any tight corners you can trim. In some places where you cannot use a long scissor, you can use
small ones.
Processes. It's very useful.
So it's like doctors.
Like surgeons.
Surgeons,
like surgeons.
Like a surgeon. So all the tools are available for the trimming and everything. Sir, can you please explain why you are taking too much time for setting up the tank or making this landscape?
Okay. See, the hardscape usually takes quite a lot of time. First to build and also to do the fine tuning and corrections. If you're building a contest tank, or even if it's not a contest tank, one should not rush on a hardscape. You have to take your time. Especially if it's a contest tank, you have to spend quite a lot of time in doing the hardscape, making the corrections and doing the fine tuning, because details matters a lot. To get a very good ranking, details are very, very important. So, and also the complexity in hardscape can be achieved over a period of time. You cannot rush. For example, you just try to glue these rocks together and just place it inside the tank. After having this done, and after some time, you might feel it is not in the right place. You may have to move it a little bit to the front or back, or you may have to do some fine tuning. So all these need time.
It will take. It's a time taking.
It's a very labor-intensive process. It is not achieved just in one day. So because it's a living system.
So if you say this entire part. Like glued it like slowly one by step, glued it, and then the top of that he pasted these individual plants. And it took time.
Few plants
here and there, and slowly it started growing. So like that he achieved this. So it's not a 1 day or 2 day, 1 month or 2 months job.
You need to have patience.
You need to have patience. So many, almost more than 1 year now, right?
This setup is 1 year. 1 year old now. And also these rocks, the placement of these rocks has to be done very correctly in a proper way. The sense it could create the depth.
The depth of the feel of depth.
That is very, very important. If you just place the rocks haphazardly, you may not achieve that.
Like how we are seeing the mountains and
see, whenever you see a planet tank, it creates an optical illusion that you're seeing something very deep inside.
That means small things front and
See, the trick is place the bigger rocks in the front and the smaller rocks at the back. So that creates a depth. So there's something called golden ratio.
Golden ratio.
So that is very important.
We'll come here, right?
So it is very important in aquascaping. So there is a focal point, and everything converges to that focal point. So all aquascapers follow that.
I think this is the focal point, or this is focal point?
In this tank, actually, I set the focal point somewhere here. Basically, it's not exactly on the golden ratio; it's slightly deviated from that, but. It is the plants have covered up the rock completely. There is a rock at the end, towards the end, a small rock. When you see from a distance, you can see that it is very far away. So it creates an illusion. Basically.
Illusion as that.